What's going on, guys? Today I have got a little bit of a different vehicle. This is a 2018 Chevy Cruz, and what am I doing driving this car? Well, my neighbor needed a little bit of help with her vehicle, so I offered to take it to the dealership, and I had an appointment there. They couldn't do it on the appointment time, so the dealership took care of me and gave me a car to drive around for a day. So I'm going back later on today to pick up her vehicle. But so they gave me a Chevy Cruz, and you know, I'll tell you what, I thought I would do a review on this and do one of my gas mileage challenges and maybe talk a little bit about what I like and don't like about the vehicle. So, you know, I've done a few of these with other vehicles where I reset the trip computer at the same spot and drive along this highway. It's got a nice 4 to 5% grade that we go up. It's pretty high. We can see how the engine and transmission work together. And then we end up, you know, going back down that hill, but it's a lot of highway driving. It's just really trying to see what kind of miles per gallon we can get during a morning commute on a vehicle. So I'll tell you, when they gave me this car, it had about 14 miles on it, and took my daughter to a concert last night. Got 112 miles on this vehicle, so the engine's not really, you know, even close to being broken in yet. But if you don't know what kind of motor this vehicle has, it's got a 1.4 liter turbo, and it puts out 153 horsepower, but more importantly, it's got 177 pounds of torque, and I think it peaks at torque around 2,000 RPMs. And this little motor is really something else. When you look at car reviews on the Chevy Cruz, you know, the typical feedback is something along the lines of, you know, it doesn't handle quite as well as the Mazda, but it does have a very zippy, light handling feel to it, and I would agree with that. You know, it does handle really well. I think where it really shines is that it has a really smooth ride. I would say that that's probably one of its better characteristics, is that it does feel like you're driving a much bigger car. But if there's, you know, one really, really shining feature about this car, that's the fuel economy. And, you know, I've just noticed driving it around town, and the gas mileage is really quite amazing. So it's going to be interesting to see what we get on this run this morning, which is why I wanted to put it through this little test. Since I've done this similar test with other vehicles, it is a great way to kind of benchmark how cars do. So I do have the MSRP, or I've got the window sticker here, and this vehicle has a window sticker price of a little bit over $24,000, $24,085, and this is the LT, so it's got quite a few really nice features on it. It's got the convenience package, which includes a power seat, 8-way driver's seat. It's got keyless entry. It's got remote start. It's got driver and passenger heated seats. Even though they're cloth, they're super comfortable, and it's got a lot of electronic good features like you know, park assist, cross traffic alert, and blind spot warning. So we're going up the 6% grade right now, and the engine isn't even noticing it. We are sitting here at 2,000 RPMs, maintaining 65 miles per hour all the way to the top of the hill, and which is where we are right now. So it really speaks to how Chevy has tuned this engine and tuned the torque peak so that it really increases the driving pleasure and the smoothness of the vehicle. You know, a lot of these smaller vehicles with lower torque motors are coming out with these, you know, 8 and 10 speed transmissions, and they just shift like crazy, and that is not the case with the Chevy Cruz. It just sits in the background, and you just really do enjoy the drive. So, you know, and listen, I never thought I would be a fan of this vehicle until I actually sat in it and drove it. In fact, I'm not really a big fan of Chevy cars myself. I do like their trucks, but on the cars, I just haven't been a real big fan of them. But Chevy really did a good job with this Cruz. I mean, it really is well engineered, and it's quiet inside, it's solid, but the fuel mileage is just going to be spectacular. I know it. So the sticker says that this vehicle should get about 40 miles per gallon on the highway. You know, I think we're going to do on this run quite a bit better than that. We're headed downhill right now. We've got about another mile of slight downhill grade. This is maybe about a 2% downhill grade we're on, and the average fuel economy so far is almost 39 miles to the gallon. So so we'll see where we end up here. We might end up in the low to mid 40s on this bad boy. So let's talk a little bit more about this engine. You know, these small turbo motors, you know, part of the benefit to these is you do get this low torque. And Ford has done a great job with theirs, with the EcoBoost motors. They really, for the domestic manufacturers, were probably the most aggressive in rolling those motors out across their entire product lineup. The other manufacturers domestically, you know, caught up. You know, now you're seeing this happen with Japanese vehicles, and it's been happening for a long time with the European cars, the Volkswagens, the BMWs, the Audis, and so forth. But you know, Ford really pushed this in the U.S. and found a competitive advantage because, you know, yes, they will get bad gas mileage if you constantly have your foot in the floorboard and you are, you know, really an aggressive driver because you've got the boost engaged all the time. But when you're doing a drive like this and the engine can just sit along and purr, and you're a little tiny motor of only 1.4 liters, you know, that's not even 90 cubic inches, you can really operate at a high efficiency and generate some great miles per gallon numbers. So we're coming up here on the end of this challenge. This is where I always get off the highway, and as we come to a coast, we will find out what our number is as I get to the bottom of this hill here. So right where this tarmac changes is where I hit the brake, and then we just coast down in, and we will slow it down and find out what our number is here at the bottom of this hill. So pretty interesting. I'm gonna just go right through this intersection since the light is green, but we are at 42.9 miles per gallon, 42.9, which is really, you know, darn impressive. So I've tested vehicles in the past that have slightly underperformed and other ones that have slightly overperformed their claimed numbers from the manufacturer, and the Chevy Cruz on that, you know, short 8-mile run there we just did is delivering above the bar that that Chevy claims it can do. So anyway, I would chalk that up to a 5-star performance for this little Chevy Cruz. If you're looking for a small vehicle for yourself to commute back and forth to work, maybe something to tow behind an RV, maybe something for a kid to drive to high school or off to college. You know, these Chevy Cruzes are not bad vehicles. They've got some really nice safety features built into them for a highly competitive price. You know, I'm seeing this window sticker here of $24,000, and you know, my guess is you could probably pretty easily get this vehicle for, I don't know, 22 grand, give or take. So you know, depending on how much money you put down, your payment on that is probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $300 to $350, somewhere in there if you're purchasing it. So not a bad price to pay for a vehicle like this with some really nice features on it. So anyway, hey guys, so I am back here for just a couple more quick seconds. You know, I decided to film a little more video here just to show you what's happened since we ended that challenge getting off the highway, and I've continued my commute onto work this morning. I've driven a total of 35.5 miles, and the vehicle has averaged 38.1 miles per gallon. Now, over those 35 miles, the first 8 were during that mile per gallon challenge that we did. Right when I got off that exit, I spent about the next 12 miles in stop and go traffic, and it was road. There was a 2-lane road. It had a 45 mile per hour speed limit, and there were probably 12 stoplights that are not timed out very well. So it was a lot of accelerating up to 45-50 miles per hour and then coasting back down and stopping at the stoplight and continuing on. And then after I got off that section of road, I hopped back on the interstate and just drove the speed limit 70 miles per hour until I just started recording this video here where I got off the highway. And so this vehicle, like I say, it just really delivers the goods from a mile per gallon perspective. So, if you're looking for a small vehicle that is very, very fuel efficient, that's comfortable, and is really actually pretty stylish with nice features on it, the Chevy Cruz is a good choice. It's a really good choice. Okay guys, now we're at a stoplight. I'm gonna try a high-speed acceleration run here, coming from pretty much a dead stop. Now, the car redlines about 5,500 RPMs, and right there we're doing 60. So, about third gear got you to 60 miles per hour, and it does not, the transmission will not let the motor get up to the red line, which appears to be right around 6,250 or maybe 6,500 RPMs. But with all this torque at 2,000 RPMs on this engine, it doesn't have to. So the power is really being, and the pulling power is being developed down low. I came into the stoplight here. Let's try it again. All right, I'm flooring it. It really starts to pull at about 3,500 RPMs, and then at about 5,000 RPMs in third gear is where you hit 60 miles per hour. That turbo, though, is, you can feel it pulling from the hole, but there's like a second stage. So this, I don't know a lot about this motor. In fact, I didn't even know I was going to be driving this car until yesterday morning. But there must be some variable cam timing that occurs, because when you hit about 3,500 to 3,700 RPMs, the engine takes on even a more lively personality, and that's probably where it's shifting from a fuel-efficient cam lobe and timing perspective to higher performance. And the vehicle does, lurch a little bit. Like there's a surge of power that occurs at that point. So anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting to hammer it on a little bit and see what you can do. Thanks again for being here. Appreciate you. And please click on that bell, like my channel, and share with your friends. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great day. Bye.